Hello, my name is Werner Knoblich, Senior Vice President and General Manager for Red Hat in EMEA. So, open source, when you look at the history, when you look at the past 10 years, take Linux as an example, where it was getting adopted mainly in kind of a commoditization play. So doing existing things at a similar quality or partially better quality at a significant lower cost. What nowadays is happening with open source technology, that innovation is actually happening in these open source communities. So when you look at the big four trends out there in the market, be it cloud, be it big data, be it social, or be it mobile, the key technologies come out of open source projects. In the cloud space, you now have OpenStack as being the fastest growing open source project currently out there. Massive investment from the different industry leaders, like an IBM, like an HP, like an Intel, like a Cisco, like a Red Hat. We are the single largest actually contributor to OpenStack, and many others. Working jointly in open source communities. That's where the innovation is now driven. You think at big data, things like Hadoop. You look in the mobile space. Lots of innovation. The majority of the innovation comes out of open source communities. So that's where really open source plays a significant, role in these new trends. Okay? When it now comes to, companies adopting this, obviously companies want to, going forward, want to get, they need to do more with less. It also means they need technology, which is first of all, which is really innovative. So where really innovation is driven, because we're living in a much faster paced world than we lived before. But the most important, customers don't want to be any more locked in as they have been in the past. So for them, it's essential that whatever they acquire, technology they acquire, it needs to be technology which is standards-based. And standards-based technology guarantees interoperability, it guarantees portability, and guarantees avoidance of vendor lock-in. And open source technologies just answer, these three questions, in the best way. So there's now a new, it's not a new technology, like containers have been around actually for multiple years, also in different operating systems, like Solaris had also a container concept. Now in Linux, also containers have been around, but just recently it got a lot of attention. It got also a lot of attention through a company and an open source project called Docker. Where now containers is a good way to increase significantly density on within a virtual machine, and get applications kind of inside a container, which then this container, which is more coming from the application side, so this container includes the application and the specific thing it needs from the operating system, but not the complete operating system, just some of the libraries and so on. And then this container is kind of in a nice, wrapped around, which becomes secure and isolated, and most importantly, becomes extremely portable. Okay, because it's then like a container which you can move from, from one environment to the other, from on-premise to off-premise, without being concerned that it still will run, and you need to reconfigure it without being concerned about, being exposed to, from a security perspective, because it's kind of a very, contained, environment, that this application lives in, which creates, great use case scenarios for, first of all, high density, and for ISVs to build pre-packaged applications, much easier to be deployed. From a Red Hat perspective, we are, we have a solution for what we call is the hybrid cloud, the open hybrid cloud environment. So customers in today's world, they have to live on one side with all their legacy. Well, legacy means they have still physical servers running workloads. They have traditional virtualized workloads running on VMware, running on Hyper-V, or running on Red Hat Enterprise Virtualization, and they will have these environments probably still for many years to come. Then in addition, they start to really build their private cloud, for new workloads maybe based on OpenStack. And in addition, they will include public cloud, resources within their resource pool for certain things. So it's very important that now customers get an environment where they can live with these four major footprints, and again have there a portability and then interoperability and a single kind of management console, for this environment, so that they can slowly migrate to where they want to migrate to. But it's not about just rip and replace. It's really living in this hybrid mode, where hybrid means the old world combined with the new world. And open clearly means to do this in a way that you avoid lock-in and you have everything based on standards, which again guarantees portability and interoperability. So we acquired two companies in more or less in the OpenStack kind of overall space. The latest acquisition was a company called Innovance. It's not yet finalized. It's announced that we have a definite agreement and we are now finalizing the details. But Innovance is a consulting and service company within the OpenStack space. So they help companies build a private cloud with OpenStack technology. So they have significant skill sets from a consulting perspective, but also engineering perspective around OpenStack. And it was important for us to even further, increase our capabilities to deliver really private cloud environments based on an OpenStack environment. Innovance has been the 7th largest contributor to OpenStack. We are the single largest one. So with this, we even have now more contribution combined. Plus, the consulting knowledge they have, is also will help our field team, together with the customers to build and implement private cloud solutions. And the other company we acquired is a company called Inktank. Inktank is the company behind the open source project, a technology called Ceph, where Ceph became more or less the default block storage kind of environment within OpenStack. So the majority of the OpenStack deployments were done with Ceph, and they also because OpenStack is so strategic, we also wanted to get kind of more control and more ownership and influence on the storage side.